guys, it's Ray with Ray's Turquoise Turtle. Today I am going to do a tumbler. I'm going to do a rainbow blooming ink cup on a black base. I'm going to go ahead and get some gloves on. I already mixed my epoxy, 1-to-1 ratio. So I mixed 40 mLs, I believe, and then I dumped some on my table. So I no longer have 40 in my cup. Stopped, cleaned that up, and start again. I'm wearing blue nitrile gloves to start, but I'm going to put a vinyl glove over just to spread the base, and then I'll remove that one when I'm done. Just because it's easier to peel one off than to have to stop and change gloves. So this has been mixed properly. I am using Faux Rizzle UV today. I have you zoomed in kind of tight here. I'm going to use an assortment of inks. I have some Pinatas. I have some Tim Holtz. I'm going to use Tim Holtz Fiesta, Tim Holtz Crimson, the Valencia Tim Holtz Ranger ink. I'm going to go with a yellow from Pinata today. It's called Sunbright Yellow. I'm going to use Mojito for my green. I'm going to use Glacier for a blue. I'm going to add in another blue. I'm going to use Cobalt for a little darker of a blue. And then I am going to use Boysenberry for my purple. I'm going to use the Pinata White for the blooming part. This is the big bottle. When you order the kit for the big bottle from Amazon, it comes with this little needle tip cap, so you just refill it, because when you do these, you do use a ton of white compared to your other colors. I do have another white. I ordered this white, titanium white, from Epoxy Candy. I haven't tried this. I don't know that it's actually an ink or just a tint, but at some point I'm going to get this on a tumbler. I think this is more along the lines of like an Alumilite dye than an ink, but I'm curious what it would do on a bloom. So I think on my next one I'm going to go ahead and try that, but I don't want to do it on this 30 ounce. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm just going to give it a good coat. Get it spread nice and even. You want a decent coat because you want it to be able to move and flow. Some of it may roll off. I'm okay with that. But this one is a good size area. Now, unfortunately, I will be able to see somewhat where I'm dropping the inks to begin with, but for you, it's gonna look mostly just black. You may be able to see a subtle hint of some of the colors for the first step, but bear with it, the magic will happen. I'm gonna dip my finger in. I touched those inks, so I have ink on my gloves, and I'm just gonna run my finger along the edge here a little bit. And I'm actually going to turn the direction of this cycle in a second. Alright, I'm going to remove the glove I used to apply the epoxy. I like to use the vinyl gloves for that because if my turner wants to turn, there we go. So I'm going to go ahead and start dropping the color in a second. I'm just trying to estimate how big a space for each color. Because it will get difficult to see, and I just touched that. So before I do the inks, I'm going to go ahead and torch it super quick. Just a small handheld torch just to pop any bubbles. It'll get more heat later, so these typically come out pretty bubble free without much hassle. But heating it will get the epoxy flowing just a tiny bit anyways. Okay, that's enough of that for now. I feel like I'm not quite level, but I'm just gonna go with it. So I'm gonna start dropping in my color. Now, like I said, I can see the sheen on top, but you might not be able to. So there's some pink. I'm gonna do the red. It's okay if they overlap a little bit, if the colors kind of go together. But if your colors don't go together, you don't really want to overlap them any more than necessary, because you don't want them to turn into a muddy mess. So watch it come around. Looks pretty good. These Pinata ones have a wider tip, so I feel like you get a little bit of a bigger drop. And I thought I'd pulled another Pinata color, but I guess I didn't for this project. It must have been for the next project I have lined up when I was picking out inks. These are pretty simple, pretty fun. I don't think I've done one since December or January, so I wanted to get back to it a little bit. I haven't done many tumblers recently. And I'm going to go ahead and move these out of the way. I'm not going to cap them off and put them away, just in case I need any. But this is where the magic happens. You take your white, I'm going to make sure it's going to flow, because sometimes it clogs up a little bit, and you just start dripping on. And it'll look just like white on top, but wait till the tumbler comes back around again. You'll see what's going to happen. I'm just going to do a line down it, just so you can see all of the color build. You'll see, even when it starts to mix, where you didn't have, you might get some actual white spots. If you don't mind the white spots, you can let them stand. If they're going to drive you nuts, you can go ahead and put a little drip of color back on top, which will give you more of a bold color. You don't want to fill the entire thing, because you are going to hit this with some heat and swirl it, but you don't want gaping spaces. And I do want to get some dripped over the edge. And wait for that to come back around. So, I'm going to put the white aside. I'm going to pick up the purple and add a few drops, because I do have a lot of white space at the bottom that I don't particularly want. I'm going to go back ahead on top with some more white. Okay. So I'm going to ditch these gloves since I just covered them in ink, and I'm going to go ahead and hit this with the heat gun a little bit. You don't want to overheat it, and I don't like to use the torch at this point with an alcohol ink cup, because there is a tendency to scorch if you overheat. So a little bit of noise. I'm just using my old embossing gun, and I'm just going to start giving it some heat. You'll start to see it move a little bit pretty quick. And this might create some cells on the cup. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It's kind of cool when they do. But I'm going to get that ink moving, that epoxy moving. Because I do want it to blend a little bit, but not a ton. Hit the bottom a little bit. And I do have one little void spot in my epoxy that I can see, and it is a little bit thick at the top. I'm hoping that'll thin out a little bit, but I do have a little spot right there. So it's only one tiny little spot. I will probably be okay to decal after this coat and then fill that with the next layer. But I am going to go ahead and reverse the direction on this and let it spin the other way for a bit. And because it is ink and the resin is moving, it may shift and change some more, but this will be the basics of the end result. It does have a tiny bit of lacing here and there where it built cells, which is cool. But that is it for a rainbow blooming ink cup on a black base. You can do the same thing over a white base. Obviously, you're going to get a different effect. Everything's going to be lighter overall. Your void spots aren't going to be dark. They'll be white, clearly. I do have a video. It's one of the first videos I posted where I did a side-by-side wine cup with the same inks, same technique on a white base versus a black base, if you want to go back and look at that. But I'm going to move this one aside, and I am going to move on to the next part of my day. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I appreciate you watching. Thank you.